Yo, this is exactly how the NHL season is going to go, trust me. Out in the Central, third is going to be the Minnesota Wild, second is going to be the Colorado Avalanche, and first is going to be the Dallas Stars. Out in the Pacific, third is going to be the LA Kings, second is going to be the Vegas Golden Knights, and first is going to be the Edmonton Oilers. And then the two wildcard teams are going to be the Winnipeg Jets and the Seattle Kraken. The wildcard picks might be controversial because there's other teams like Nashville, Vancouver, Arizona. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I had the Jets there because Connor Hellebuck, they got a lot deeper in the offseason. And then also Seattle just made the playoffs last year. They're only getting better. They're getting right in Beniers better. In the Central, I think Colorado and Dallas are just miles ahead of every other team in that division. And then Minnesota is a sneakily underrated team, and Kaprizov really could win the Hart Trophy, you know what I mean? And out in the Pacific, Edmonton and Vegas, no surprise. Edmonton over Vegas. I think Vegas has less to play for in the regular season. And then also for the Kings, I think the Kings picked up Dubois, and that might push them over the edge as their depth, in my opinion, and star power is a lot better than Seattle's. East, in the Metro, I have the Rangers at 3, the Devils at 2, and Carolina at 1. In the Atlantic, I have Toronto at 1, Tampa at 2, Florida at 3. And then the two wildcard teams, I have a combination of Ottawa, Buffalo, and Boston as who could make it. For the wildcard teams, I honestly think that Ottawa could be the third team, and then between Boston and Buffalo, I had such a hard time deciding that I honestly just put both of them because both of them could easily make the playoffs. In the Metro, I think those three teams are miles ahead of everybody else, and I think Toronto's a lock at 1, but the rest of the Atlantic could change very much in my opinion. Tampa, out of respect about how good their team is, I think Point has another level to hit, even if their team is aging a bit. I think Bassey can bounce back. And then Florida, they just went to the finals. Top 5 rookies, not in the Calder voting, but I just think the top 5 rookies in the NHL this year will be Matthew Knies on the Maple Leafs at 5, Luke Hughes on the Devils at 4, Logan Cooley on the Coyotes at 3, Devin Levi on the Sabres at 2, and then of course Connor Bedard at 1. I think Knies is going to get a bigger role than somebody like Shane Wright or Fantilli. Luke Hughes, I mean, the Devils are a good team. Logan Cooley is going to get a lot of opportunity. And Devin Levi, I think the Sabres could, if they make the playoffs especially, he really could be one of the best goalies in the league, man. I'm calling it right now. He really could be one of the best goalies in the league. That being said, my top 5 goalies are Bassey at 5, UC Saros at 4, Connor Hellebuck at 3, Igor Shesterkin at 2, and Ilya Sorokin at 1. I left Ottinger and Ullmark off this list for Bassey, which is controversial. However, I think Bassey just is going to have a bounce back year. And Ottinger and who was the other guy? In passing, but Ullmark's not going to play as many games. And I mean, Ottinger, if he proves it to me in the playoffs, he's been incredible in the playoffs. But if Dallas wins the cup, I will put Ottinger even number 1. But I mean, it's so hard to rank goalies because they're all so close together, especially the top ones. Defenseman is a bit easier to rank, but not at all at 7. Here are the top 7 actually, not 5. At 7, I had Miro Heiskanen, 6, Charlie McAvoy, 5, Rasmus Dahlin, 4, Victor Hedman, 3, Roman Josi, 2, Adam Fox, and 1, Cale Makar. Heiskanen over guys like Quinn Hughes. I mean, Miro Heiskanen might be the most underrated defenseman in the NHL. He does so much for that Stars team. Incredible on both ends of the ice. McAvoy and Dahlin could jump over Hedman and Josi after this year. However, Hedman and Josi are proven defensemen. I mean, they're veterans. It's kind of out of respect kind of pick. And then Adam Fox is incredible. I don't know if people give him enough respect. And then Cale Makar, obviously number 1. 7 wingers. we got Kirill Kaprizov, Jason Robertson, Mitch Marner, Mikko Rantanen, Nikita Kucherov, David Pastrnak, and Matthew Tkachuk. Kaprizov and Robbo, Marner, Rantanen. I mean, all these guys are so close together. Honestly, I could see like any one of them being 1 and any one of them being 7. And there's so many other good players that I probably left out. However, I think these are clear-cut the top 7. Maybe you could put a guy like Panarin in there. But I think these guys have cemented themselves. And then lastly, top 7 centers. We got Jack Hughes, Braden Point, Elias Pettersson at 5, Matthews at 4, Draisaitl at 3, Nathan MacKinnon at 2, and Connor McDavid at 1. Jack Hughes and Braden Point over a guy like Sidney Crosby is tough, and Barkov as well. But Jack Hughes, that Devils team is about to be nasty this year, even better than last year. He was incredible last year. He's got a full year of Timo Meier. He might just get better. Braden Point has to be the most like underappreciated player, maybe even in the last decade. Like, this dude had just had 51 goals. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. He's been to 3 finals, right? So, like, he's been insane. Was he on that 2015 team? No clue. Pettersson at 5. I mean, he could have a huge year. The Canucks could be pretty good next year, honestly. They could even be a playoff team. Pettersson, and then who are the other guys? We got Matthews, Draisaitl, McKinnon, and McDavid. No surprises there. In terms of the order, it's tough to rank. I think McDavid's 1, McKinnon's 2, and then Draisaitl and Matthews you could switch, and I won't really care, but Draisaitl was just insane last year. So if Matthews has a big year, he could easily jump over Draisaitl. Here are 6 players who could break out next year, and break out as, I mean, become superstars. Not that these guys aren't star players, but they could easily turn into superstars. So first player is Thomas Chabot, and we'll tie Stützle in with him. The Senators are going to be so good next year. I wouldn't be surprised even if they get top 3. Obviously, I didn't put them there. But Chabot, just his ability to move the puck up the ice, his two-way play, he's a leader. I mean, he's just everything you look for in a defenseman. And then Tim Stützle is just magic on the ice. He's insane. Like, the jump Jack Hughes had last year into like one of the top players in the NHL. Don't be surprised if Tim Stützle gets into that conversation after this year. Is gonna have Erik Karlsson on his power play. He's gonna have Karlsson and Letang on his team. That's Jake Guentzel has always been underrated in my opinion. He was a huge part of those 2 cup wins. Obviously that team's past their prime, but Jake Guentzel is their next era until they get their next superstar after Crosby. So let's see how he does. I'm expecting a big year though. Dahlin, I mean, no need to talk about that. The Sabres are going to be good. Dahlin could be turned into a top 3 defenseman. And the last player here is Kyle Connor. Just nobody watches the Jets, man, but I do every single game. So Kyle Connor could turn into one of the best players in the NHL after this year. Mark my words. Not that he wasn't already, but nobody really recognizes that. And then last one, I mentioned it with the Calder thing, Devin Levi. I believe he's the future goalie of the NHL. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm too high on him. But from what I've seen at Team Canada, what we saw from Buffalo last year, Devin Levi's him. He's about to be the next best goalie in my opinion. It's so hard to predict the Stanley Cup champions. But I mean, we'll try our best here. I think as long as Gary Bettman's here, we kind of have to rule out Canadian teams here because like he hates Canada for some reason. Like there's no reason to, but he just wants to grow the game in America, which fair enough. But us hockey fans want to see a Canadian team win, so stop rigging the league, bruh. With that being said, I think out of the Central, I'm going to pick the Dallas Stars. They are an insane team. It's about time. I mean, it's them or Colorado. Actually, I feel like Colorado could do some damage this year. So Colorado or Dallas out of the Central. That was pretty obvious. I think I'm going to go Colorado in the conference finals. And then out of the Pacific, I think Edmonton once again will go back to the conference finals, even over Vegas, which is crazy. And then out in the Metro, I think Carolina's on a different level this year, especially their defense. And then out of the Atlantic, I think Toronto is better than all of these teams, but I wouldn't be surprised if Florida or Ottawa or one of those teams made it. The next step for Toronto is conference finals, you know what I mean? It's like baby steps. But out of the East, I'm going to pick Carolina, and then out of the West, I think I'm going to go Colorado. So it would be a Colorado versus Carolina final, which 10 years ago would have been the most mid-finals of all time. But my favorites to start the year are the Carolina Hurricanes. They look insane this year, especially on paper. Is that going to translate to the real game? But they've been so close like all the time. So I think Carolina, Dallas, Colorado, one of those three teams is going to win. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.